Salute, salute, salute. Before I was so rudely interrupted, again, salute, salute, peace and power. I thank the universal truth and the absolute laws of nature for guiding me, protecting me, and giving me the strength to endure the imperfect. I shall attack with vigor, making progressive moves. A divine mind knows, a divine mind shows all things work in divine order. All things work in divine order. All things work in divine order. All power to the people to struggle. Again, I have to find a way to be able to utilize my phone and not, allow myself to be interrupted because it crashes the feed, and then I have to reset everything all over again. Peace, Yumi. Again, not long, but today, book of the day, is another favorite. People who are of a certain mindset. Peace and power, Mark, salute. Again, I am in struggle. And as long as I'm in struggle, I'm alive, I'm well, and I'm healthy. We must appreciate the struggle. Because if not for the hardships of the struggle, we will never, ever be able to enjoy the pleasant abundance of fresh new life after we are liberated. So salute, salute. Again, we've been through several several different texts, several different books. Peace, Orlando. And again, I'm trying to spoon feed those who may not be of a certain level, of a certain mindset, of a certain commitment. So again, the first book was Asada. The second book could be To Die for the People or Revolutionary Suicide. The third book, They Came Before Columbus. The fourth book, This Side of Glory by David Hilliard. And I think the fifth and the sixth book was Woman, Race, and Class by Angela Davis. And The Black Woman, an anthology by Tony Cade. So today's book is, BAM! The Wretched of the Earth by our esteemed Dr. France Fanon. And it's a little deep. The book is a deep book. It's not a quick read. It shouldn't be. It's a read that takes time to reflect. Yep. Read from Superman to Man, J.A. Rogers, definitely. The Wretched of the Earth is not a quick read. It's actually a study. You have to read this several times and go back and forth and get a reaffirmation of the information, of the tools, of the language, of the strategies. Have to do it. This is a mean piece. And to keep it a buck, it deals with the psychology of the oppressed and the psychology of the oppressor. Peace, Nisha. And the psychology of those moving towards liberation, right? Because he's dealing with it and interviewing and having patience from both sides. He had patience from the French colonizers. He had patients who were the common indigenous people of the land. He had patients who were the freedom fighters, the liberators. He also had patients who were military attaches and soldiers for the French. So he covered every aspect of it. All his books are worth reading 3, 4, 5 times. The Wretched of the Earth, and later on I'll give you a title, Black Skin, White Mask, right? And you can see, right, how extensive this is. So when we talking about people who are snitches and rats and have a certain mindset, you need to know how important that is. You dig? Because again, we can go back and forth and dialogue and debate about many, many things. Many, many things. But what will ultimately win our liberation is when we win the minds of a people. We're not getting no progress because the minds of our people are so diluted. The minds are so separated. They don't think freedom. They don't think liberation. The majority of our people think comfort, to be comfortable in oppression, to just sit by and allow this time to keep passing, to sit by and just get yours, to be comfortable. So as long as you have a home, as long as you have a car, as long as you can eat, you are comfortable until the boots of oppression land at your doorstep, until one of your family members is killed by the oppressors or fired from work because the oppressors want somebody that's more in alignment with them. You are comfortable until you are not comfortable anymore. So that is what's the matter with our people, the minds. You can easily gas somebody's body and put somebody's body in the frame of a liberator. That's nothing. But the mind, it is the mind, excuse me, it is the mind that breeds the coon. It is the mind that breeds the Uncle Tom. It is the mind that breeds the rat and the snitch. Ain't nothing else. Conditioning, mental conditioning is what keeps the slave in place. Mental conditioning is what keeps the worker bee working. It is mental conditioning which keeps the hoe a whore. Nothing physical. It is the mind and the presumption or the perception that they will be physically harmed. They will be hungry. They will be without shelter and clothing if they do not adhere to the rules, the laws, and the regulations and policies of the oppressor. That is what they run from. So once you win the minds of the people, you good money. If you're coming from, a leadership perspective, if you're coming from the space of being a true educator and liberator, well, you don't get their mental. If people don't like minds don't come together, you're going to be forever struggling, forever suffering, forever the freedom fighter. That is what they're playing for. So they don't worry about the physical conditions of the people, of the enemy forces. They got their minds. Their minds are drunk. Their minds are high on narcotics. Their bodies and minds are over-sexualized. Their minds and bodies are conditioned to believe in big business, small business, corporations. None of that of which will lead to liberation. So that is what we are dealing with. We're dealing with people who have bitch-assness in their mind. And that's what prevents them from moving any further. That's what prevents them from taking care and being responsible to the community and to themselves. That's what keeps them calling the cops, authorities. Come get this. Come look at them. see what they're doing. The mind. So we need to study this. We need to go over this. And I'm going to read a quick excerpt. Right? So you know that I'm not telling the untruth. But it so happens sometimes that decolonization occurs in areas which have not been sufficiently shaken by the struggle for liberation. And there may be found those same know-it-all, smart, wily intellectuals. We find intact in them the manners and forms of thought picked up during their association with the colonialist bourgeoisie, spoilt children of yesterday's colonialism and of today's national governments. They organize the loot of whatever national resources exist. Without pity, they use today's national distress as a means of getting on through scheming and legal robbery by import-export combines, limited liability companies, gambling on the stock exchange, or unfair promotion. All right? This is the same shit. I'm not lying. It's the same shit when you talk about crypto, when you talk about being a real estate agent, when you talk about nonprofits, when you talk about LLCs and all that. All right? Peace. So you see what I'm saying? This is not new. I keep telling you, this isn't new. Again, without pity, they use today's national distress as a means of getting on through scheming and legal robbery by import-export combines, limited liability companies, gambling on the stock exchange, or unfair promotion. They are insistent in their demands for the nationalization of commerce. That is to say, the reservation of markets, right? Markets and advantageous bargains for nationals only. So as long as you in the whip, you good. As far as doctrine is concerned, they proclaim the pressing necessity of nationalizing the robbery of the nation. In this arid phase of national life, the so-called period of austerity, the success of their depredations is swift to call forth the violence and the anger of the people. Again, because the hood is not going to always continue to be the hood. They're going to be radicalized. They're going to be able to name themselves. So you must know the language of those gangs. You must know the language of those street organizations. You must know the language of the youth in order to politicize them and get them right. Again, for the same people, poverty-stricken yet independent, comes very quickly to possess a social conscience in the African and international context of today. And this, the petty individualists will quickly learn. They're going to be on your ass, Mr. Businessman. It is what it is. It is what it is. In order to assimilate and to experience the oppressor's culture, the native has had to leave certain of his intellectual possessions in pawn. So in order to be the Jays, to be the Nas's, to be the Rick Rosses, to be all these dudes, the Dame Dashes, the Styles P's, all these dudes, the athletes, the actors, listen. In order to assimilate and to experience the oppressor's culture, the native has had to leave certain of his intellectual possessions in pawn. These pledges include his adoption of the forms of thought of the colonialist bourgeoisie. We could use different terms today, but it's the same thing. It is what it is. So they ain't thinking about you. They're not thinking about you. This is very noticeable in the inaptitude of the native intellectual to carry on a two-sided discussion, for he cannot eliminate himself when confronted with an object or an idea. Excuse me. On the other hand, when once he begins to militate among the people, he is struck with wonder and amazement. He is literally disarmed by their good faith and honesty. The danger that will taunt him continually is that of becoming the uncritical mouthpiece of the masses. He becomes a kind of yes man who nods assent to every word coming from the people, which he interprets as considered judgments. Now, the unemployed man, the starving native do not lay a claim to the truth. They do not say that they represent the truth, for they are the truth. Again, we talking about the 60s here, yo. Talking about the 60s. So when you have dudes that want to chess my square, when they're not intellectually capable, not because they're not smart or intelligent, but because they come to speak for master, because they come to speak for their oppressors, because they come to speak for the institutions that got them in a bind. Come on, man. Come on, man. Miss me with that. It is what it is, baby. How many times have I read this? Since a child. Because that's what the God had me doing. So again, I could go back to any book in the library and go to specific pages because I'm nice with it up here. So when I'm telling you ratting and snitching on the street is the same as ratting and snitching when we dealing with woke and consciousness and organizations that's moving to liberate people. It's the same thing. It's a mindset. It's a belief. And that belief is manifested in the action of calling authorities on anybody. You understand what I'm saying? If you encourage snitching on any level, you do a disservice to the people. You do a disservice to the people. Because the only time when somebody is telling something on somebody, they should be coming and telling it to you. Because they see you as the authority. They see you as the upright, upstanding man. They see you as the liberator and the freedom fighter. How dare you instruct our people to go and tell the oppressors about anything? Again, that's the book of the day. I love my people. Don't believe in me. Believe in my belief in you. I love my people. Peace and power. Salute, salute. All praise to the people of the struggle. Drop something in that Cash App. Yes, it's needed because our people need it. We need to get out there and make sure they don't have to rely on no one else. Salute.